Anyway, my point is that spending a few $1,000,000 to silence potential critics is literally pocket change to Michael Bloomberg, and the practice predates his 2020 campaign. For example, by 2015, he had given grants to the Center for American Progress, CAP, worth over $1.5 million. In 2015, CAP was working on a report about anti-Muslim bias in America. Included in the report was former Mayor Bloomberg's New York City police program monitoring Muslim Americans. Interestingly, when the report came out, this chapter had been removed. Bloomberg then gave $400,000 more to CAP in 2017. The writers of the CAP report told the New York Times and Democracy Now! That they'd been asked to remove this chapter. Also, as mayor of New York City, Bloomberg had started charging people rent to live in homeless shelters. Because you know how families who have to live in a crowded, rundown shelter are rolling in money that they've selfishly been spending on things like food and diapers, but should really be used to pay for the honor of being in a homeless shelter. I mean, those cots don't pay for themselves. I could think of someone who could pay for them, but what's the point? Now, you would think this charging homeless people to stay at homeless shelters thing would outrage the many organizations working for the rights of the homeless in New York City. And it probably did. But Patrick Markey, formerly a senior policy analyst at the Coalition for the Homeless, told the Huffington Post that when he'd tried to get other organizations to work with him to oppose Bloomberg's policies, they couldn't, because in Markey's words, they told him, quote, "Look, we agree with you, we're on your side, but he's a critical donor. We can't afford to lose that kind of money." Former leader of the New York Civil Liberties Union, Norman Siegel, told BuzzFeed that he struggled to get support for lawsuits against Bloomberg's civil liberties violations. Siegel said, "Some groups would say, well, you know we're getting funding from Bloomberg, we like Bloomberg." Or toward the end, people were more unprepared to take him on because they had this delusional thought that somehow when he's in his foundation world, if they're nice to him, they'll get rewards and get grants from his foundation. This all stinks to high heaven, sure. There are turds in heaven's attic, but it's not like you can just buy democracy, right? Like, you can buy support, pay off your critics, purchase dank memes 2020, but you can't, like, just buy democracy, right? Like, if I were to turn my head, I wouldn't see, okay, so he's trying to lobby the DNC to swing the election in his favor when he doesn't get enough delegates from the people he's paying off to support him. You can't just do this, I'm sorry, but brave journalists with integrity, like me, are here to speak out against you, Bloomberg, and there is no price you could pay for me to stop speaking the truth. No. I said I wanted the 45-meter yacht, not the 47-meter yacht. I'm not Jeff Bezos, you fucking imbecile! Hey, everybody. It's news. It's news time. It's me, your trusty newsman. I've given the Bloomberg matter some thought, and I've decided, of my own free will, that he's good. He should be the president because he would be very good at that, and we should vote for him to become the president. And now look, I know what you might be thinking, okay? Cody, how can we trust this Bloomberg fellow? Yes, he's handsome and charming, but why should we just take your word for it that this Adonis-like man should get our precious, grubby little votes that he, in his great wisdom, allows us to have? Well, you may only know Bloomberg as the stunning former mayor, dripping with charisma, who famously closed that insidious loophole scamming your way towards free shelter by not having to pay rent at a homeless shelter. But did you know that he has also been the star of New York City's annual Inner Circle show 12 times in a row?
We're all a part of one giant club right here in NYC. There is a brotherhood of Mike, a benevolent brotherhood of Mike, a noble tie that drives 8.4 million lives into one brotherhood of Mike. Your lifelong membership is free.
Wow! A future president with smarts, humility, and a good set of pipes. But who is the future president that we know as Michael Bloomberg? Or as his friends like to call him, Mike Bloomberg? And I hope by the end of this, you consider yourself one of Mike's friends too. So to get to know Mike, let's look at some of the things he's valiantly fighting against. You see, Mike Bloomberg is the roll-up-his-sleeves type of American patriot, willing to take on scourges such as elderly cancer patients trying to scam insurance companies of money by greedily trying to cling to life.
We've got to sit here and say which things we're going to do and which things we're not. Nobody wants to do that. You know, if you show up with prostate cancer and you're 95 years old, we should say, go and enjoy, have a nice meal, lead a long life. There's no cure, and you can't do anything. If you're a young person, we should do something about it. Society's not willing to do that yet.
But Mike is also trying to stop scary black children from getting away with being able to walk around New York City without getting pushed against a wall and searched. Those fiendish children thinking they can go to school without being grabbed and frisked by law enforcement for existing. Bloomberg has also taken a bold stance against babies and woman trying to find childcare, allegedly yelling at a woman who was having trouble finding a nanny, quote, "It's a fucking baby. All it does is eat and shit. It doesn't know the difference between you and anyone else. All you need is some black who doesn't even have to speak English to rescue it from a burning building." Also, he told one excited pregnant woman to kill it, referring to the baby, because these babies and their mothers trying to take advantage of an innocent, hard-working billionaire by using up the time they should be laboring to instead, look for a nanny? Where the hell does this baby get off? Oh, look at me! I'm a baby! I need a nanny! Meow, please! Grow up! My point is, Mike Bloomberg is courageously fighting the many evils upon our country, like American citizens minding their own business, transgender people minding their own business, gay people who, very selfishly, want to have civil rights and want those civil rights to be enforced when they're written into law. Also, those grifters who want paid sick leave because they got sick and can't move without vomiting but don't want to be evicted. He fights against dangerous rabble-rousers like protesters and the communist plot of a living wage, greedy seniors getting Medicare and Social Security.
But if we don't do things like increasing the age at which you qualify for Social Security, you qualify for Medicare, or co-pays on Medicare and Medicaid so that people think twice and only do things that are necessary, we're just not going to be able to afford it.
Uppity women who want to be in photographs. Uppity women who want to be paid the same as men. Uppity women in general. He fights against the planet we live on to survive. He battles sneaky employees who want to skirt past the warm, protective bubble of non-disclosure agreements, which protects them from accidentally saying things to the media that might be embarrassing to Bloomberg, a guy I think is good, that you should vote for. Or my name isn't Text Mike to 35527. He takes down the greedy, homeless people who want to gluttonously sup upon donated food. He takes a stance against arrogant farmers who have forgotten their station and think that farming is more complex than putting seeds in the ground. They think they're human beings with brains who perform a complex, important service. But what candidate, besides Bloomberg, is brave enough to call farmers stupid and literally say that they lack the right amount of gray matter to understand things? Huh?